What is shape language? Shape language is a way of using basic shapes to create our characters. Once this is in place, we can then build upon that to add more detail and movement. So let's think of some basic shapes we have. Circles, ovals, triangles, squares, and rectangles. These are all really simple shapes that are really easy to draw. Now, if you take these basic shapes, you can use them to easily create familiar objects really quickly. So let's take a tree for instance. We can use a rectangle for the base of the trunk and then some triangles stacked on each other to create the form of the leaves on top. So a tree is quite a familiar basic nature object, and when we get into creating our character animal poses, it does become slightly more complicated. But if we look at this fox character I'm building up, I'm still using all the basic shapes that are at the top of my canvas to create all the pose. So like ovals for the body and head and tail, along with triangles and rectangles for the other body elements of the fox pose. So as you can see, it's just a matter of placing and stacking all these shapes together. So with shape language, you can create simple poses really quickly. If we look at this cat, it's essentially made of a circle, a few ovals, and some triangles and lines. It can look a bit intimidating when we see all the shapes built up for a character pose like the fox below. But don't worry, we'll be covering how to do more complicated poses in an up-and-coming class. But it is really important to take away with you this technique of shape language, as it really does make it a lot easier to create our character poses. Once you have these basic shapes in place, you can use these as a guide to build up a more detailed, cleaner sketch of your character animal pose. Now I have explained about shape language, we're going to take what we have learned into the exercise of breaking down our character animal from a reference photo. But in the next class coming up, we will first set up our canvas in Procreate.